All right, welcome to another episode of ZBrush on the iPad. Now, today, what we want to do is take this little coin model that I created and put a custom design on here that, maybe we want to 3D print it, get it cast into metal, who knows. But to do that, what we need to do is jump out of ZBrush, at least for this method, and create a custom mask. So basically just a black and white image. So I'm going to jump out of ZBrush and jump into Fresco, Adobe Fresco. Check that out. And what you want to do is have a square image. Those are going to work best as alphas. So now that I'm in here in Adobe Fresco, I can decide, what do I want to create? Obviously, my coin is round. So what I'll do is go into this ruler over here and click and hold it until I grab the circle. So this will give me something to keep my design circular, and maybe I'll even create some circle elements, but just kind of move that until it snaps into the center of the page. You'll feel it kind of lock into position. You'll see the little cyan lines jump up. So I'm going to go ahead and work in a vector format, because that's usually a clean way to do things. We need to increase the size of our brush, and then this acts as a guide. So just loop that around. There's our circle. We can click on this little gizmo to bring it back, and then maybe reposition it, because maybe we want a circle nested within a circle. Do something like that. Obviously you could turn that off and create your own drawing in here that you want to put on your coin. You can do it that way, or Fresco comes equipped with different shapes. So you can see that leaf shape was the first one to pop up. We got floral shapes, typographic, comics. Let's go into here, pick something that's a little more typographical. It's taking a minute to load. All right, this is a fun coin element. So we'll get that positioned where we want it. And then rather than tracing it with our paintbrush, we need to fill it. So there you go. It's filled. It's in there. It's part of our design. If we are so inclined, we could use our positioning tools. Maybe you need to create a selection around this because you're not quite happy with the size or location. And grab that. Now you can move it around where exactly you want it. Hit done. Okay, I'm going to deselect that guy. Maybe we'll zoom in here and go ahead and grab our vector brush again, change the size, and we'll draw some hand-drawn text. And you can change your smoothing to help ensure you have nice clean strokes rather than the jittery strokes that normally come when trying to draw something. All right, I don't know how this is going to turn out. We're running out of real estate over here. Looks like we're going to be okay. Now, obviously, the more time you take, the more you plan this out, the better the final result. But I'm trying to keep kind of this hand-drawn look that came from the shape that we put in here of the little flourish, little pennant. Looking at this, what else do we want to do? What says ZBrush to me? Maybe it's a stylus. Maybe it's a mouse. Maybe whatever you want it to be. We're taking too much time here. Let's try something here. What do I want to do? All right, overthinking it. ZBrush on the iPad. How about that? That's what this is all about, right? So to do that, let's go back to not our shapes, but rather our guides here. Hold that down. We're going to grab a square and let's position that, or resize it rather, to be in the shape of an iPad, basically. Do we want it straight on? Do we want it kind of at a tilt? I'm going to say a tilt. And then with our brush selected, go ahead and start drawing some lines. And I'm going to leave the corners open because, whoops, like I accidentally selected the white color. Because as we all know, iPads have rounded corners, right? Okay. We could turn off our guide and just freehand those corners, or you could grab the circle one, try to line that up. I'm just going to go ahead and freehand these guys, and that looked horrible. And that may have something to do with our settings here. Roundness, what about, yeah, the smoothing's way up there, so let's bring that down to 50 something. Try it again. What are we doing? All right. Undo. Yeah. For some reason my palm is not being rejected. That's probably a setting I need to play with here. Come on. What? I've used this a million times and I've never had this problem. Well, this is a good gotcha and the way to fix it basically, right? App settings, canvas, use enable, input. Get rid of that. Got like a brush preview. All right, let's try this. Still not liking it for some reason. Do I have my selection? Deselect. Just something to do. Wow, just a weird thing going on. Wow. Don't know what's going on. If there's like, is this still engaged or something? Which wouldn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense, but you never know. Turn that off. Weird. Well, that looks horrible. I don't know why it's not liking me. Oh, okay, friends. I figured it out. Who knew this was going to turn into a Fresco tutorial? But I have this paint inside selected. So, of course, when I get close to another line, it's just trying to paint inside of that. So, wow, frustrating. Okay, try this again. There we go. Not the cleanest corner. Oh. And maybe we want to turn our smoothing up a little higher. All right, for all of you that were screaming at the screen, I appreciate you. We figured it out. Yeah, that's embarrassing. Something like that. No, that's horrible. We're just going to leave that out of there. Let's turn this back on. Whoop. Can I reposition that? Nope. There we go. All right. Whoop. Got a little carried away here. Oop. We just want to stop at these other lines here. This isn't that hard. Come on. But again, this is why I do this, because I know a lot of times these tutorials are super rehearsed and it makes all of us feel inadequate because we're real humans that make mistakes, right? So this is a process. You know, I'm trying to think on the fly of what it is I want to do. Oh. All right. These guides come in super handy to help. Oh man, except for when you move them out of position. But they help keep things much cleaner. All right. So it almost looks like I know what I'm doing, right? It's supposed to be a simple ZBrush alpha tutorial. Okay, got this iPad and there's not much going on. I'm gonna go ahead and create another layer just in case I mess it up. Who knows? Okay. Then using that illustration in the back as a guide, start laying down clean lines. As you can tell, a lot of times I start these tutorials thinking that, oh, it's gonna take like 5 minutes. But then I get going and don't realize that, oh, you might actually want to show your viewers more of the process. And let's not completely phone it in. Let's do some custom stuff like a ZBrush bear, gummy bear. Oh, connect that. And, you know, as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, this is a cute little line drawing, but I don't know how well this necessarily works for this application of creating an alpha. But you get the idea. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully answers a question and you can think to yourself like, oh, that was great that he did what he did, but I am going to do this or whatever. And then we can go ahead and delete that kind of guide layer. Not going to win any awards. We all know that. But I think it'll do the job. Now, if we were to take this directly into ZBrush and emboss it, just going to work with these black lines, right? Anything in white would be raised up. Anything in black would go down. You can invert that, but that's basically what you get. So maybe we want to fill in some areas with some black. Okay, so grabbing my paint bucket, I'll fill in this circle behind here. You know, we've got this screen of the iPad. Maybe I don't want that full on black. Well, guess what? Alphas respect grayscale. So, oh, somewhere we've got a hole to where, oh, it's because the teddy bear is on its own layer. Let's take him and merge him down. Now, try to fill that. There we go. So the screen is gray, outlines black, teddy bear itself is white, or call it a teddy bear, gummy bear. Maybe we want to fill some of these other areas gray. This is just basically to show you that by working with grayscale, you can get things at different levels, essentially. Because anything that's like 50% gray is only going to be masked 50%. All right, what else do we want to do? You know, the lines of this gummy bear, pretty harsh. I'm going to go back to my paintbrush, do my paint inside. Then I'm going to grab another gray. This is way more involved than I planned. It's really close to white even. And then just start, oh, wanted to paint inside of the white. Wanted to paint the black. There we go. Just going to create a separation there. Do it here as well. Okay, so now when I fill that with the fill paint bucket, not going to mess with the other elements. Okay, so now all that stuff is going to be raised higher than what's here. Well, that's good, I think. Maybe we do that. Basically just to show you that, yeah, there's more that can be done besides just a black and white drawing. That's maybe too close to our other gray. There we go. All right. So that's going to be our alpha. These elements in white are going to be the highest. So do we want that the same height as this? Probably not. So let's give that a color as well. Maybe we want that closer to black. Okay. So again, the lighter stuff is going to be raised higher. Black is going to be all the way down. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, maybe these lines, oh, they just all disappeared because we gotta make it a different color. Taking that with it. Whatever, this is good enough. You get the idea. So we're gonna go ahead and export it. Go ahead and put that top one. Export as. Let's just do a JPEG. Okay. Maybe we want to name this something. ZBrush alpha. Okay. Export it. And I believe what we want to do, rather than saving the image, we want to save it to files. I've got this folder on here called 3D files. And hit save. All right. You wanted a ZBrush tutorial. We're going back to ZBrush. Okay. So to bring our new alpha in, we need to hit this import button. Go to alpha, because you got to tell ZBrush what you want it to be, and go select the file. See, it brought us right here to my 3D files. There it is. Hit import. Now it's in there. And it's actually the active alpha, but I don't want it right there. So I'm going to remove it, and then go to mask, and then go find that alpha. It's going to be at the bottom. There it is. Okay. And then holding down mask, well, first of all, yeah, hold down mask. We want to make sure this is set to rectangle, square, center. Okay. And then just start to drag it out. And pretty good, but we can reposition it. We lost it. You need to tap twice. Slide over, reposition it. Going larger, perhaps. Get it to where you want it and remove. And it jumped, which is a little frustrating. So let's try it again. Because as you're pulling the brush off of the iPad, it's going to jump. So it might go a little lower than what is centered. And just try it a few times. Oh. Oh, maybe that's the trick, is get it where we want it. Rather than pulling off, just slide our stylus off of the screen, huh? Yeah, there we go. Okay, but we got some little areas that didn't get masked, but we can fix that easy enough. So let's get rid of the square in the center, remove our alpha. We're going to drag a little rectangle to grab those edges that didn't get masked right. Whoops. Uh-oh. I guess that was already masked, so it's telling me keep it. But we only wanted to tap into one side. So let's go into snap it to your side view. All right. The way I like to do it is just move it around and then hold down the shift button. There we go. And then holding down mask part of it, back of it, and there we go. Front is untouched, just how we wanted it. But guess what? I masked the wrong side because this is the inverted side. So you gotta watch that. Mask this side. There we go. Now there's different ways that you could bring this forward. Now things are kind of opposite. It was inverted. So if you want to invert this mask, you can hit the mask button, tap outside of it. And now, while this is good and could work, we've got all this area on the outside that's no longer masked. And so we got to decide what we want to do. And I'm just going to start. Oh, that didn't work because too harsh. Oh, we definitely want to mask the back. Right. And you know what? I'm overcomplicating this. Let's undo it. Okay, so we're back here. Normally, what's dark would go back. what's light would go forward. But what we can do is just invert whatever it is we're planning to do here. So if I were to grab the layer brush, which I have here, and start to paint on it, it's going to bring everything that's lighter up forward, right? And so it did that, and it respected the grayscale. But if I wanted to invert that functionality, push it in, I can, let's increase the intensity and then hold down this plus minus button and then do the same thing. And now pushing into the design as opposed to, extruding it out. And you can see pretty deep, and it's pretty jaggedy. Is you can either grab smooth and kind of brush over that like so, or you can go to your deformation and do some polish. There we go. Looking pretty good. We can unmask everything, and look at that. We got us a random coin here in ZBrush, thanks to the magic of our own custom alpha. And maybe want to clean up some of these areas a bit more with the smooth. It's up to you. Go really squishy or not. And then maybe, I know I keep just throwing this down, but you can use this as a starting point. So, we've got the little gummy bear character, and maybe we want to shape him a little bit more so he's not just so flat. Well, go ahead and grab your different tools. Let's try trim dynamic and start to work the edges of this guy. Grab a little smoothing action, and so now we're giving him more dimension, if you will, than what he had originally. But we're able to use the alpha as a starting point, so we didn't have to sculpt this guy in here by hand, making it the overall finished product that much cleaner. And you can see there's some pixelating that's going on here. So, different things we could have done to mitigate that, like use even a higher polygon count. You can see I'm at 1.5 million. But yeah, this is your thing. Obviously, a lot of this could have been done at the alpha creation stage. If you, by you, I mean any of us would have. Oh, come on. Yeah, lost my train of thought. If you would have painted or some gradients on the edges, you can get the same effect, but then you're spending more time in the 2D application. Probably would have recommended Procreate or Photoshop on the desktop or something if you're going to do that, even though tool we were using, Adobe Fresco, can do some of that. It's just something to think about. So it's looking like kind of a hot mess here. And like I always say, warts and all. This is the process. That's literally the first time you've ever heard me say that. I know, because I don't usually say it that way, but I do say this is a process, and this whole video series is designed to demonstrate like the fact that even as someone who is more experienced in a tool than someone else doesn't mean that it's just this perfectly smooth process with no mistakes being made. Mistakes are still very much part of the process. But you can see we're getting something more and more interesting here. Something that is a combination of alpha, we use the benefits of these clean lines, and then we're able to get in here and sculpt in some details, smooth some stuff out to get it even closer to maybe what we originally envisioned. These hard surface tools are great. H-polish, trim dynamic down here to get you back to where you were initially if you want to bring some of that hard stuff back. Use your play build up if you really want to get in here and make it more interesting, and then smooth. We had this harsh line over the nose that was a little distracting to me. I don't know about y'all. Grab the damn standard brush to carve out that eye a little better. But I can tell you this would have taken longer, and doubtful the result would be as good if you were just sculpting this directly in here without starting from an alpha. Maybe those lines are too thick for you. Well, use the pinch, bring it in, tighten that up. This is your coin. But really the biggest lesson is trust in the process. You got to go through the valley to reach the summit, right? Something wise like that, you could imagine. Imagine if a wise person was creating this tutorial, right? It's nice to use a reflective material like this, because as I rotate it around and the light hits it differently, I can have a better idea of what's really going on with the surface. Take advantage of all your go-to sculpting tools to get it where you want. Who knew I was going to do some gummy bear? This is really not what I would normally do. and take me outside of my comfort zone. But I went that direction. You saw me. I was in Fresco over there. I was struggling. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I picked something, and it may have been the wrong thing. But by golly, we're hanging on to it as tight as we can. So the face is starting to have a more dimensional kind of 3D, 2.5D effect going on here. Whereas you transition into the body and it's not so much that way. So it's up to you, you know. Do you want to bring these chubby arms out even further? Again, been nice to have this as a guide, that initial alpha. Well, if you're still with me, thank you. And I hope you've, if nothing else, learned what not to do. Sometimes that's just as valuable. No, but seriously, folks, this stuff is a process. It's a discovery. You know, the core how-to of creating a custom alpha is there. You've got that, and go ahead and do with it what you will. But if, like me, you like to get lost in the sauce and continue to try things, push things, well, then maybe you found this somewhat entertaining or interesting. Definitely reading more as a gummy bear. I'll give myself that at least. And these rings are, you know, fairly crisp. See that being laser etched into a coin or something. And maybe it wouldn't be super dumb. Okay, well, we're going to call it. And again, thanks for your time. If you found this valuable, like and subscribe. Helps me a ton. And until next time, happy ZBrushing.